Well,
The table belonged to William Greenleaf, who was High Sheriff in Suffolk County during the Revolution. And he was a wealthy merchant. And it's a very low, I think it's Sheridan.
okay, the table you think is Sheridan. Okay, now the blue
The
pitcher.
the pitcher,
Yeah.
blue cobalt, and I don't know the history of it. I just know that my mother always said it was very old and very valuable.
Okay, now how about the mug, the Royal Dalton?
The mug I know nothing about except that it's old.
Okay. Uh, the lamp.
The lamp belonged to your grandmother. Was bought early in the 20th century.
And okay, and then the little toy.
The toy I know nothing about. Probably belonged to my great grandmother.
Okay.
A little pump, antique pump.
Yeah. How about the story about how your father had to get a new shade for the lamp?
Oh, the original shade, a cat jumped over and broke. My mother was heartbroken. My father went into the power company, and in the warehouse they found the duplicate of the original.
Okay, now this.
The shield back?
Okay, well wait. Now I'm on the picture. The pewter.
The pewter is 17th century.
Okay, do you know who it belonged to?
No.
Okay. Now, how about the shield back?
The shield back belonged to William
Oh,
Greenleaf.
I had pushed the button wrong. You got to repeat I didn't have it recording then.
Belonged to William Greenleaf. The same William Greenleaf who had the table. And during the Revolution, Washington was stationed in Cambridge, and neighbors lent the furniture, and William Greenleaf provided the dining room set. That was one of the dining room chairs. And the story goes that they used to sit around, the leaders, around that dining room table and plan campaigns for the Revolution.
Okay. How about the wingback?
The wing chair belonged to the same William Greenleaf, and incidentally, he was the father-in-law of Noah Webster. He had 15 children, and one of the daughters, Elizabeth Greenleaf married Samuel Eliot, who was killed in the Revolution. And Noah Webster married another daughter, and that was called the courting chair. And Noah Webster may have sat with his girl in that chair.
Okay, now back to the pewter.
The pewter.
Oh, how about the game with the marbles? How old is that?
I am the foggiest. Probably belonged to my grandmother.
Okay, I'm going to go into the dining room. I'll bring. Maybe the thing to do is bring some of the stuff in here so you can describe it.
To do it, okay.
Yeah.
The ladder back chair in the dining room, which is yours.
Oh, there's a ladder back.
That belonged to John.
With a wicker seat.
With with a rattan.
A rattan,
whatever
yeah.
it is. You put it out. It's very
Ladder back
belonged to John Alden Spooner.
Okay, and it was a kitchen chair.
Yeah, it was one of his kitchen chairs.
Okay, so how old is that?
Well, I think he was married around 1802 or something, or lived around there. The first of the 19th century.
Okay, and how about the high chair?
I don't know the history. Very old. Probably belonged to your great-grandmother.
Okay, and now this other chair.
The Chinese Chippendale belonged to William Greenleaf.
Which would make it about how old?
Of the Revolution.
Revolution.
I think William Greenleaf was born in 1758 or something like that. We've got his date written down on the records. Chinese Chippendale, Frederick.
Yeah.
Belonged to William Greenleaf also.
The table?
That one right there in the corner, the Chinese Chippendale.
Oh, okay. This Chinese Chippendale table.
English.
Okay.
That belonged to William Greenleaf.
Yeah. How about those little vases that are hidden behind the picture? There's a ginger.
Yeah.
Okay, you said they're courting lamps and with either.
Courting lamps.
Yeah, and they were whale oil or kerosene. You're not sure which.
No, I don't. There's so much that I don't know, Frederick.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to preserve as much as we can now.
Yeah. Mouth, it was handed down as belonging to Ruth Alden, the granddaughter of Priscilla. Now, it answers the description of the bowl that belonged to Priscilla, that she was very proud of, that she brought from Holland. And antiquarians say that that was probably the case. My mother had people look at it, from Holland.
Okay.
And Priscilla was exceedingly proud of that bowl. It was always displayed.
You have written down. You said you had some things written down?
Yeah, I have a letter to you boys saying that who would get what. I would like to have, but a lot I have not mentioned for the simple reason how can you tell Frederick? Richard will not take care of things. And Linda has said very, very emphatically that Sandy has first choice, you and Sandy.
Yeah.
For anything.
Well, the main things are that bowl and probably the block front bureau.
The block front bureau stays with the house. And if no one lives here, if none of you live here, then it goes to you.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do about that.
Well, the thing is that...
The silver service and the picture that was saved during the War of 1812 belongs to you.
Okay. How about the Alden bowl?
I don't think I mentioned that. I think you should
now,
have it.
Okay, now
I'll check the letter.
Okay, you did say before that the Royal Medallion.
Oh, when we moved from Plymouth, when we took the stuff from Plymouth, I gave you a set of dishes that belonged to Heather's great-great-grandmother, great-great-great-great-grandmother. And I said Heather should have it. You know that with the rose on it?
Okay.
Tea service. And Richard had Sally's set, and so I said, well, the third set, David's gonna have that. And
Okay, so the Royal the Rose Medallion is for David.
Not in the family. It was belonged to a friend of my father's, and he left it to Sally.
Okay. Now, up at the top shelf, there's several things.
You can take things out, put them on the table, and do them separately tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna have to plug in my batteries going
I
to.
don't know anything about it.
You don't know what this is?
No.
Okay, you got to start up again. This is the mulberry willow, and this always belonged to Richard.
And, yeah, the thing of it is, her husband was killed in the Revolution, and she was left with 6 children, and she went out to work to help raise the 6 children, and a widow, and she saved her money and bought that dinner set, and that was bought at the close of the Revolution.
Okay.
And that was given to me because of my name. Anna.
Anna, all right.
It's yours.
Is mine, all right.
Yeah, if you lift it, and you just get an idea how heavy it is. It's very heavy.
Okay. I guess it must be solid mahogany.
Yeah. I think it was Rebecca or Rachel. Married Noah Webster. And when Noah Webster's married her, Noah Webster's family thought she was kind of highfalutin because she was used to servants. And Noah Webster came from a very simple country family.
Okay, now, where did the block front bureau come from?
The block front bureau belonged to William Greenleaf.
Okay.
The reason that we have so much of the stuff is, one, my grandmother had it, and 2, a lot of it came from the old Spooner house, because my mother liked antiques and nobody else wanted the junk.
Okay. And how about the Bowditch's book on navigation?
That's in the block front bureau.
Yeah. All right, and who did that belong to?
I know, the children's great-great-great-grandfather, Benjamin Harvey.
So
And
it came.
when he was 2 years old, he heard the guns of the War of 1812 off the coast of New Jersey. He was a sea captain, and he had a very varied and colorful life. And I was brought up on tales of him. And then he fought in the Civil War. And he was the one, you want me to tell the bacon?
Yeah, and tell it fast before the battery goes dead.
The battery's dead?
Almost.
Oh, and you've got another one?
Oh, I can plug in. I just need an extension cord.
He was the Southerners were winning and the Union Army was in retreat. And he hated to see the food left. So he took a lot of the bacon that he could grab and tied it around his waist under his uniform. And they escaped on foot.
Okay. Good.
Went through the Civil War.
The folding chair in the vestibule.
In the vestibule.
Yeah, and that went through the Civil War.
Yeah.
The clock over in the corner here.
I don't know. Blondie, probably a great-grandmother's. It came from Plymouth. It's an full overlay sandwich glass.
All right, and except for the shade, it's an antique.
Yeah, I can get that. The shade I bought.
Okay, and the tray?
I don't know. At Blondie, I know to your great-grandmother. My impression is that at Blondie, your grandmother Jones, but I don't know. Your great-grandmother.
Yeah, okay, and there's a toy with the horses, and you said that belonged to, that's for David?
I don't know. They belonged to my uncle who used to play with them when he was a boy, but I think they're older than he. I don't know how old they are. That is belonged to the same set as your hook and ladder. And I used to play with them when I was little. I loved them.
I thought the hen, the sandwich glass hen, Suki.
That belonged to your great-grandmother, Beth. She was married, she was married in Sandwich. She lived in Bourne. And all her glassware came from Sandwich. It was all Sandwich glass. That's why we have so much of it. That's Suki.
Suki. Okay, and how about the desk that I have up at my house?
I'd have to look that up. It's in the bureau drawer. I think it was a Bagnall desk, but I'm not sure. It goes back to the either early 19th or late 18th.
Yeah, didn't we have some other stuff from Bagnall's? Oh, we had the cane. About the cane.
The cane you've got.
Yeah, okay, and you want to tell about those?
All I know about that cane is that when I was about 3, I can just remember 3 years old or so, 4, and a man came out to the house and he gave it to my mother because he said that he was the oldest citizen in Plymouth, and he wanted it to stay in the family, so he brought it out to my mother.
Okay,
Now, how old it is, I don't know.
Well, there's actually several canes. There's an ornate.
The ornate one was the Bagnall cane.
Okay, and how about the one from the Civil War?
And then there was one from the Civil War, and then there was one that looks like a twig that your great-grandfather cut from a tree when he was wounded, and it kind of helped him. Now, your grandfather, your great-great, the children's great-great-great, when, I don't know whether he was shipwrecked or what happened, but he came from California east at the time of the gold rush by land.
He went in the wrong direction.
No, he went around the Horn to California.
And then came back east.
Yeah.
By land when everybody was going west.
Well, he was going to get home.
Oh. Instead of getting rich in California.
I don't know. I don't know. So all I know is the story that my mother used to tell me some.
Okay, who was the guy that came by once that worked on the railroad when the Indians were?
Cousin Edgar.
Cousin Edgar.
He was an engineer. And at the end of the 19th century, when they were opening up in Denver and around in there, They were building a railroad, different railroads, and there were Indians there.
Because he had some story about how Indians broke the signals to make arrowheads out of the glass or something.
Yeah, I've forgotten that. I've forgotten that. I always liked the story that when the one time the family owned a lot of land up by Pembroke.
Yeah.
And one of your ancestors started for the Indians, and she used to go down and give them food when they didn't have enough food in the winter. And she had a beautiful horse, and the horse had silver trimmings or something and red velvet on the trappings. I don't really, you know how, Frederick, you know how you hear stories.
Yeah. How about the Winnie Holmes stories?
I've got a book on that.
The extra barrel of crackers and all that.
Yeah, I always bought a barrel of crackers so that when he got out of crackers, he'd have some.
Yeah.
He was the Plymouth Yogi Berra. Now you want any more stories?
Oh yeah. Well, what can I think of? Okay. How about your Aunt Florence?
She went old family.
No, but I meant the only person to pass up a boat that wasn't good enough.
Oh, she was a pain in the neck. When my uncle died, she used to go to Paris in the winter. And then in the summer she went to Dinan. And then she'd come over here in the fall for Thanksgiving. And then she'd either go to Florida, and then the Wiggins Tavern in Northampton, she knew the Wiggins family, and she'd visit them in California. But the house I always liked in California was when I went to Virginia's aunt, we called her aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived right across in Brentwood, right across the street from Fred McMurray. So that we had coffee on her patio and could see Fred McMurray's house, like Gertrude Gill's house, across the street. That was really thrilling.
What else do you remember? How about your Aunt Virginia? What do you remember about her?
My cousin Virginia.
Her cousin Virginia. I guess. Yeah, we always called her.
Oh, she had a very different upbringing from us because she had a nurse till she was in high school. And she didn't even go to private school. She had a tutor come to the house. And then she went to public high school, and then she went to Miss Dow's school in Briarcliff. And what else? See, my uncle was a Carew from the Carew paper mills.
Mm-hmm.
In Hadley, South Hadley.
Okay, how about, what do you remember about your brother, like the mustard and things like that?
My brother?
Yeah.
He always hated me.
Yeah, but I mean the mustard, the time he ate the mustard and it was too hot.
Oh yeah, he was, I don't know, he was the one, they always said he got on the table to taste the mustard.
Yeah, it
when
was,
he was 2.
yeah, it was extra hot mustard or something.
Yeah. Now, what else? Do you want any more from the glass cabinet?
Okay.
There's the sandwich glass panel, that sugar and creamer I always loved, and I've given it to Sandy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, Sandy and you, I mean, it's the same thing. For your children. One thing I was sorry that the burglars got. My mother's great-grandmother
Mm-hmm.
gave her a gold ring that had been in the family. And I gave it to Heather. And it got stolen.
Oh yeah, the one at our house. Yeah.
I gave it to Heather because it belonged to Heather. I was Heather's grandmother. My mother, my mother was Heather's great-grandmother. Her mother was Heather's great-great. My mother's great-grandmother was Heather's great-great-great-great-grandmother.
Yeah.
And it got stolen.
Yeah.
I wore that till I almost in high school. It was a shame it got stolen.
Yeah.
And I gave Sandy, my battery died. No. I had to put a new battery in.
A picture of your mother, a class your mother taught.
At the end of the, probably around 1880,
Okay, and when did she start teaching?
when she was 16,
Okay, which would be about what year?
1870 something.
And what subjects did she teach?
She taught all, every grade you name it. It was a one-room school, I think.
Okay, she taught. Want to repeat that? I just pushed the
She
button.
taught, it was a period, you know, people came from Europe in waves. There would be a wave of Germans,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she had a lot of people from Germany.
Oh, okay. Did she teach which school? Was he like in the Cold Spring School, or that was before that was built?
No, she taught North Plymouth, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
Probably was torn down when I went to school.
probably. I remember the Cold Spring School, and I think
that
the
was an old school, and
That was
I
two
went there
rooms.
to the second and third grade.
I think the building is still there.
Became a church.
Or something. Yeah,
I know at the foot of the hill there was a cold spring, and there was an old house there, and Mr. Lyle lived there, and he had been a slave, and he was the janitor at the school, and he was incredibly old, it seemed, and everybody loved him.
Oh, okay. That's something I know you never mentioned before. What else can you remember? You had a rooster when you were little. And how about the cats?
Oh, a series of cats.
Uh,
I know. We used to own a big block at the corner of the street. An old block. My father had it torn down.
mm-hmm.
And it was moved out from town, and it had belonged to Governor Bradford's grandson. William Bradford's grandson.
Yeah, probably valuable today or something. Or unless it
Well,
was.
it got decrepit. My father tore it down. And he sold that land. We used to own way down.
Yeah.
And I think my father or my grandfather sold up back of Wall Street.
Yeah. About when was 14 Hall Street built?
Around 1890, I believe.
Because I remember it was like. Yeah, that because I remember when I was a kid, it was like 60 years old or something. Sally said once.
Around 1890. My grandfather built it when he retired, and he must have retired. I mean, he was about 55 or so before he was 60. I never knew. But you see, my grandmother, your grandmother, my mother, started teaching school at a very young age. Arabic 1, he didn't think she was strong enough to go away from home. 2, you didn't spend money in a girl's education. 3, every penny went for my uncle's education because he was a brilliant artist.
What did he end up doing?
He made a lot of money. He had a big decorating place in St. Louis. He did the Hearst House. He did a big hotel in Salt Lake City. He did a lot of the hotels all around the West.
Okay, who was it that took all the photographs out in San Francisco?
That was my father's cousin, John Alden Spooner.
Okay, and he stayed in California, right?
Yeah.
Ruby overlay?
And a sandwich glass.
Okay.
I used to have cinnamon and sugar in it. It was always filled for my toast in the morning.
Okay, and then there's the cucumber bowl.
Yeah. From Japan. That, I believe, is not too valuable, but it's interesting.
Okay, and then the tea caddy, which is
From the Revolutionary.
go over the I hit the wrong
Light
button.
stuff.
That's Lowestoft, and it's a tea caddy, and it's got
Right.
little gold trim on it with a little decorative edge on the thing.
Yeah.
And then the teacups were from Harriet.
No, oh wait. No, Betty gave me. We've got the gravy boat. That was from the gravy boat that goes to the same set. And there have been discussions about what pattern this is. We know about how old it is. And somebody said it's the Egyptian periods. some say with the palm trees, belong to another. There've been arguments about the design. It's very unusual because it's lavender,
Okay.
but we know it's old because there are no handles on the cups.
Okay. Okay, this is a set which you use for your dolls,
Yeah,
and these would be for Rosie.
yeah, she wants them.
Oh, she wants them. Okay, you think they're pressed glass.
Yeah, my mother used to get them in a souvenir shop at an amusement park.
Oh, okay.
I think they were quite expensive because I think they were 50 cents.
Wow.
What one
The
with
long
the
table.
oval table.
Yeah. Okay, when was it bought?
1835, when she got married.
Okay, so that's why we always called it the great-grandmother's table.
Yeah.
And then in the background is the sideboard and whatnot that
Oh,
you got for
that's
$50 in Brooklyn.
Yeah, you remember. The Hitchcock chairs.
Oh
You
yeah,
want
these, okay, the Hitchcock chairs are
Each
originals.
of you get two.
Okay, each person gets two. They could
They're
stand
not
a
in
little,
good condition.
they
What?
need a little, could stand a little painting, couldn't they?
Yeah, I had them done over my God,
Well,
how
didn't
old were
Harriet
you when
do
I
them?
got them from Plymouth?
Yeah, didn't Harriet have them done over or something?
No, Klasky.
Oh, Klasky, okay.
When I got the.
I do remember, they were all freshly
that was
stenciled and all
When
that.
we first moved down here,
Yeah.
about 1940, I think before David was born, around in there. Because we had a special truck bringing the.
Arrow, and it's a little dark to see it properly.
Klasky gave them to him at a very reduced price. They're written down in the letter. The original of the first set of souvenir plates made.
For souvenir plates for whom?
From Plymouth. And then I think that a couple of Staffordshire, or one of them, and I loved them all. And Sally said, well, you can have one. And she took the others and sold them for $5 each.
Okay, and,
Because
because there's some plates, they look very much like the stuff at the top. They, you know, the willow at the top. Some of the
That
stuff.
belonged to the dinner set.
Okay, there's a complete dinner set. Some of it's the top, some of it's the bottom, right?
Yeah. Frederick, the souvenir plates are interesting. If you want to get one out, or is it too much work?
Well, I'll see if I can get one. Hold on. Is the Canton china. It has a chip in it, and then this other one with the exquisite
nothing.
gold detailing. You just
I
know
know
it's old,
nothing.
but you don't know where it came from.
I have the foggiest. Frederick used to be piled up in the attic, and my mother had a china cabinet filled with stuff.
Up in Plymouth, the white platter.
There's a platter, yay big, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I left some stuff. I gave stuff to Judy. She asked for. Look, David, Frederick, in the pitch in the thing there is a little. Do you want to take it? I bet it's for you.
What's this? The vase, the light blue vase.
The iron is probably.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be end of the 18th. I don't know. It's 19th. It could be 18th century. It looks crude enough to be Oh my God, it's heavy. 18th century.
Okay, and how about the vase?
I don't know. Think about it.
And how about this little glass thing with a little silver
That
spoon?
belongs with a doll set.
That goes with the doll set.
And the spoons, these are little mustard spoons. And these belong to a toy set. And these others are sterling silver that go with my salt cellars.
Oh, okay. Okay, how about this, the cradle down here?
I don't know anything about it except it came from the attic. And you've heard the story over and over again that the mahogany cradle that I loved, it was much bigger than that. And I regarded as mine, my sisters gave away. Now, in the glass cabinet is a white pitcher with a little sprig. I gave Sandy a cup, I think, of that set, and it's very valuable. It's got a scalloped edge to it, because after the severity of in France, it was when Marie Antoinette in that period, They have flossy things, and that scallop edge in the picture is indicative of that period.
So it came from France?
No, but it's copying it within that style and
Oh, okay.
influenced by it. The things were flossier.
Okay.
Now, another thing in pictures, Frederick.
Okay, yeah. Okay, because I just realized this things like this Chinese painting, for
The
instance,
Japanese.
or Japanese.
Yeah, that's one of your uncle, your great uncle, got when he was studying art. When he went to Japan to study,
Okay,
he went everywhere. See, every penny I guess my grandfather had went to him. So when he left in his will everything to my sister and me, and every penny went. We didn't get it.
Oh. Okay, now there was this. How about this painting of the ornate frame by the thermostat?
That Richard got up at Annie Dunham's auction. That's a picture of the old Dunham house, built around the end of the 17th century. Remember it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I remember. That's the one we used to go to all the time.
Yeah.
With a coal stove and whatnot. And she always had all the old pictures and.
Yeah.
Wasn't she a school teacher or something?
Yeah, she was a school teacher.
Okay, now there's another painting down here that Harriet Hawks did.
Yeah, Harriet did two of those pictures, both of them.
Okay, this one I remember when she,
The covered bridge and the other one.
okay, we got okay, I got those. And then she did in the kitchen those pictures of
You and Richard.
no, the Richard
You and David.
no,
Richard and David.
Richard and David. The sandwich glass bowl.
They said it was sandwich glass, and I picked it up during the Depression for $1.50.
Okay, so it could be just something made during the Depression too, or it could be genuine.
I don't know.
Okay, how about this cat? I guess that's fairly modern.
No, there's nothing. Oh, the Staffordshire, Prince Charlie and his girl.
Okay, that's the ones behind the painting, right?
Yeah.
This is Prince Charlie?
My mother called it Bonnie Prince Charlie and his lass, or his shepherd girl. And that's what she called it.
But you don't.
She found it. She didn't know too much about it because there was so much stuff up in the attic. She got it down one day because she liked it.
Okay, and this
That attic used to be filled with furniture,
okay, and this is Staffordshire?
I believe.
You think? Okay.
The silver of cake dish was one of your grandmother's wedding presents.
Okay, that one right there. And then the statue in the back. That's a modern
Oh, that
statue.
doctor. I got that down at Jackie Bogan's when they had the bookshop down in Westchester, down by Division Street there.
Yeah.
And I liked it, so I bought it. That's the first thing like that. A bottom bureau drawer
Of which bureau?
in the front bedroom. A lot of the papers and things. There's a poem your great-grandmother wrote about the block front bureau. Oh, also in the thing, the Annie Cushman I gave Sandy,
Mm-hmm.
and that was assessed for $1,000 when she took it to an antique sale.
Oh, the doll.
The doll, Annie Cushman, and it belonged to your great-grandmother.
Okay. And which drawers? You said you had a letter of instructions in one of the drawers. Which one?
And the top left-hand drawer in the highboy.
Okay.
I'm probably very inadequate, very difficult.
Okay. Now the poem is in the highboy drawer or
No,
in the bureau?
The poem is all the family tree and all of that is in the bottom bureau drawer. And clippings about the green leaves and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, the
Remember?
sampler. We have it hanging on our front hallway.
Yeah, and that's very valuable.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things are because it was an article in Time magazine. Okay, what was that again? I didn't have it on.
I've written it.
You wrote that down.
There was something, oh, the caps that I gave that Sandy and you got, no, I gave them to Sandy. You didn't get those from Florida. were about the time that Whistler painted his, women used to wear the caps,
Mm-hmm.
like Whistler's mother,
Yeah.
and you've got several of those. And you've got the slippers that were Elizabeth Greenleaf's wedding slippers that came from England.
Mm-hmm.
Those embroidered ones with the French heels.
Yeah.
In the cedar chest is the big pewter platter that belonged to the Alden family. Yay big. And when I lent it to the Bruce Museum, they insured it specially.
Uh-huh. Oh, I remember. Okay, what was the thing that was cracked? Okay, I forgot to bring that out.
The picture you've got in your box, the little picture, I think it was yay big. I remember it too much. My mother loved it. It was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches tall. It was a little picture, as I remember. And it fell off the mantelpiece in Cambridge. And the earthquake came toward the end of the 18th century. I don't know the exact year.
Okay, what
But
color was it?
I don't know. It seems to me to have blue and gray or something. But my mother was very proud of it.
Okay, I know I have your father's Masonic sword,
Yeah.
and we went through those things in Plymouth. A lot of stuff is, and Sandra had rescued a quilt, but it was disintegrating, unfortunately. A lot of the things, a lot of the cloth things had rotted.
I gave Sandy a quilt with made of calico things. There was another quilt that had disintegrated there, but then I gave her the one that hadn't disintegrated, that used to be in the crib, colored calico stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's disintegrated now.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the quilts, they'd make them out of all different kinds of cloth, and some kind would hold up and some wouldn't, so you'd have patches that would be dissolved out, sort of.
But there was one there that had been in a trunk that had disintegrated, that had like an umbrella with feather stitching on it and everything else. It was fancy. It had satin and everything else on it, and that had disintegrated. Now maybe the quilt that I gave Sandy when I came, that June Bent got this one down, and I brought it down one time when we came from Plymouth.
Mirror, an antique mirror that Harriet gave you.
Yeah. When we
Okay.
first moved here.
Yeah, that's why the glass is very wavy in it.
Yeah. Wooden knives that people used to have. They're very interesting. If you ever wanted to show to stun people with antique stuff, you can have. They're
In the
silver
sideboard, in the silver drawer of the sideboard.
drawer, right here.
Okay, and what do they look like?
Look.
These, like,
I left her silver up there.
okay, these belong to great grandmother Bent.
Yeah.
Their ivory handles was one with a wooden handle.
You didn't take a picture.
I think you talked about them before, the
I
diamond
talked, but
pattern.
You don't want to take that picture?
Well, maybe I'll see if I can get them out safely. There's the creamer, and there's a matching
And
sugar
the
bowl, right?
that matches it.
And this
I think
is,
it's a diamond and panel or something like that that's called. A sandwich glass.
okay, and who did that belong to?
That belonged to your great grandmother Bent. See, she had all her glass came from Sandwich. See, and that. Are you listening? Can I talk?
Yeah, talk.
The lamp up on the mantelpiece was thrown in because she bought all her wedding stuff there. That was for free.
Back on,
The blue vase,
yeah.
when I had my appendix out in 1939, one of my pupils brought me a rose in that vase. And her name was Hoyt, as the same Hoyt family that Aunt Bertha was, the old settlers, Hoyt, old English family.
Flu epidemic.
Oh, I remember it very distinctly, because everybody in my family was sick, and I was the only one who didn't get it. And I had to walk in town twice a day to get the newspaper for my father so that he could read it. It was a mile each way. It was my birthday, and I went in and bought a quart of ice cream. So that we always had a quart of ice cream on my birthday.
Ah, Okay, what else do you remember about the epidemic?
Oh, you used to see the hearses all day long.
Because you said they had to get out the old
One
horse-drawn
time
ones.
they even got out an old horse-drawn hearse, so they'd have a hearse to go through. It was always a parade. And one neighbor called up, and she said, now, I have made some bread, and I will bring a loaf over, and I will meet you in the grove. You know where the grove is?
Yeah.
And I said, no, thank you, I don't want it.
Oh boy, that was unneighborly.
Yeah, well, I didn't like homemade bread.
Gee, nowadays everybody, that's the current rage.
I didn't like homemade bread, and furthermore, I was annoyed. She said, I will not go near your house.
Oh.
I don't know if she was going to put it down in the path in the grove or not. See, the Bennetts, you know, you go across, and the Bennetts lived on the hill up there,
Yeah.
going in. And you could cut across the back way with no distance. And I was annoyed, too, that she acted as if we had leprosy.
Well, actually, it was probably killed more people in a shorter time than anything else in this century.
Yeah, it was awful. Everybody was sick. I didn't get it. I didn't even have a cold. We didn't have school for a long time. I gave Richard the toolbox that my father made my brother, Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And in that were some antique tools. I think one or two of them dated back to the early 18th or late 17th century. Handy some.
Okay.
I
It was
couldn't tell you.
just various antique china, but nothing with a special provenance.
A story see, Frederick, I wish that I had known more about the things. All I can remember is when I was a child.
So your grandparents should have done this thing too. They should have taped everything for us.
My mother, yeah, I didn't know. All I know about my grandparents is that my father's mother was a school teacher. She had been, and she was crazy, and all the boys used to congregate at her house. And she was very popular. Everybody loved her. And one time they wanted to go on a trip, and all the mothers didn't want them to go. But they didn't dare say no. So my grandmother came and she said, I'll bake them a batch of donuts. And they had a wonderful time with those donuts. She'd put castor oil in them. None of the boys could go.
Oh.
They were too sick. That was about, she was crazy over animals. Boy, she loved animals. I never saw her. Both all my grandparents died before I was born.
You remember, see, that's stories like that I'm trying to get recorded.
Yeah.
Remember you had a story about the guy that had the horse that died because of Monday morning sickness or something?
Oh, Black Warner.
Yeah.
He had the tent on the 14 Halls and on Hall Street, and he loved that horse. Boy, he cried.
Yeah. And then how about the time your mother found a tarantula in the bananas and panicked and killed it?
That was the day I had my picture taken, and Heather loved that picture, and she took it home.
Oh, she did. Okay.
She's got it. Then I remember the day that Percy Bourne, I saw him get killed. Boy, that was dramatic.
Well, what happened?
Percy Bourne wanted a motorcycle or a horse, and they thought a motorcycle was too dangerous, and he had a horse he loved. And he was galloping up, or going up, Hall Street was a dirt road then, and something came unsnapped in the bridle, and Percy fell off and was killed. I saw him. His mother's jewelry. And they had been sea captains, and they had yellow diamonds and everything. Beautiful diamonds. Can you remember those jewels? Anything else?
No, I didn't get the bit. Okay, you didn't. I didn't record the business about Dot and being the cranberry people.
Yeah, all the woods, yeah. We used to, when I went to live in Brooklyn, I thought it was awful to buy cranberries. You pay money for cranberries. We always had them free.
Yeah. Well, we got camping on a cranberry bog this last fall.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Went up to Plymouth.
Yeah, where they are, in the Scout Reservation, they have cranberry bogs.
Yeah, but when I was little, the black Portuguese lived in the bogs. And they had houses that didn't have foundations, they were built up, you know?
Yeah.
And we always called them the black Portuguese.
And they were what, from the Azores?
The Azores. But now they're very different. Or his father went to Harvard and he brought his roommate home. And his grandmother said, you know, I don't think you really better bring your roommate home again. You know, he couldn't tell me who his great-grandmother was.
Well, he could have been worse. He could have dipped into his principal.
Yeah. That is Plymouth. That is Plymouth. I've dipped into mine.
Your father and his building business, and then when he went to the cordage company.
Oh, he went into that when I was in high school. I was about 14 or 15. He sold his business and he was charging them. He had charged of all the building in the cordage company. He wasn't making as much money, but my mother said it was safe. He didn't have to worry about that. He'd get his paycheck.
Yeah, he didn't have to make a payroll.
Yeah. He built libraries. He used to have a lot of big estates like Stone and Webster, the Stone Estate.
Mm-hmm.
And the Whipples and all of those. They used to have these big houses and farmer houses and everything, little villages that people with money. Old Eben Jordan had a place up in Plymouth, Jordan Marsh. When everybody in Plymouth used to say Old Eben Jordan.
What else? Oh, how about the railroads? There were 2 railroad tracks going by the house.
And the old Middleborough Railroad used to go right back to 14 Hall Street. You know, you remember.
Yeah, going up the hill a little ways.
The
There's
end
some
of
tracks.
14 Hall Street, yeah, there was a bridge that went over the railroad.
Oh, wait a second. How about the tracks? There were tracks that went right through 14 Hall Street. What were those from?
They didn't go right through 14 now. It was just at the edge of the land.
No, I remember when I was little, there were some old rusted tracks, and they went into the woods. They went across 14 Hall Street. You don't know what those are for?
They went through Hall Street, but the end
I mean,
of
not for. Yeah, I mean not for.
just
Yeah, up the hill.
Yeah, up the end of Hall Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hall Street ended there with a bridge, and then there was a Hall Street extension, and that went up to Standish Avenue.
Yeah. How about the other line down by the cordage company?
That was the old Colony Railroad that went to Boston.
Because I remember steam engines on it when I was a kid. Every morning that
Yeah.
you could see them with the smoke and everything. Because you're right down to the water then.
Oh yeah. I wish the Brannigans had kept those trees cut when they were little.
Yeah,
I
now
told
they're
them
gonna. Yeah, now it's gonna be a major job to clear the trees.
Yeah. Well, she said that they were going to have some done bit by bit.
Yeah, but the trouble is if you don't cut down a lot, then you're. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's better for the ecology to.
But she gave the price, and I said, no way, I can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, it's a big job if you had, unless you could get somebody to harvest the wood.
I told her to find out, and I wrote to Dorothy.
But I think
said,
a lot of
well,
it.
I got somebody to cut them free. He had the whole hill cleared out, and they cut it free for the wood.
Yeah, but a lot of them are pine trees, which aren't good for
They're not good.
burning. The
Yes,
thumbprint
they're
ones
valuable,
are.
they're just old.
All right. But you don't know how old.
You know, probably around early 19th century.
Plymouth. How old are they?
My father built them. Walter did one. You didn't see the one Walter did.
No.
But the cooking table thing my father designed, and he impressed everybody. He used to make them. He made a whole lot around because people were so impressed with him. He designed it himself.
Oh, okay. I know there's a couple of cabinets in the kitchen.
They're not so old.
Okay, and how about the clock that I have?
That is very valuable, and that's a wooden works.
Yeah, I had it rebuilt.
You still got wooden works in there.
Oh yeah. No, what I did was I had a professional clockmaker redo it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there aren't too many around, and he has since passed away, so I don't know what happens now.
It's valuable. But unfortunately, the mirror got broken when you moved here, and
Yeah,
bought the
I
house.
remember that very well. I went to show Louis
Yeah,
Yakovo, and I turned around, and the arm of the chair went right through it.
Yeah,
Because that was a mercury amalgam mirror.
yeah, but that's, and you know how the story, how we got that clock, because I always hated it, up in the attic.
Oh,
And Sally said, well, you can take that clock, you always make such a fun of. And then there was another clock I think somebody stole, and it had little points like this, and that vanished.
I'm sure Sally didn't sell that one too.
Susan sold it. I didn't know she sold it until Dorothy said Sally was sorry she did. But she was going to sell the silver pitcher, and she wrote that somebody would give her $30 for that silver pitcher. And I said no. And I said, whatever you sell, I'll pay. I'll pay 2/3.
Yeah, but she never.
And then she said she couldn't do anything with anything in the house because she had to save it for my children.
Well, it's still.
But she had absolutely no idea what things were worth.
Well, she was a school teacher.
Absolutely no conception of what things were worth. All she knew was that, see, nobody ever thought that I'd come along. Nobody ever counted on my mother having any more children. And when my grandmother Bent left, it said all the Bent furniture and Greenleaf furniture was Sarah.
Hit the
My grandmother's name was Sarah Spooner. So Sally's name was Sarah Spooner Bent.
Yeah.
And so Sally always made a big issue about her furniture. Then when we got the other block front bureau, my mother said that was mine. That was the one Sally sold. She was very proud of it. She got $1,500 for it.
Yeah, boy. Even it costs more than $1,500 just for the wood now to build one, to make a copy of it.
I like that desk at home that I had when I was growing up. That was my desk. You remember it probably, the heavy walnut desk. They had the slanting top with all the little cubby holes, and then it had a bookcase up above that.
Okay, I don't.
And your great-great-grandfather bought that in an auction for $3 for my mother when she was a little girl. Beautiful desk.
Okay, and which room is that in?
It used to be my bedroom.
Okay, so you don't know where it is now.
And Kathy Brannigan had it down in the hall. And it looked horrible there. Blocked the view of the window. I hated it there, but nothing I wouldn't say anything. There's a blanket chest up there that's good. That Sally loved. What Sally liked, she said was hers. Like the silver pitcher, you know, that was hidden in the War of 1812.
Yeah.
And
now wait, okay, and that's, okay, and where's that?
That's yours is with the silver service in the hidden closet in my bedroom.
Oh, okay.
That was the one that Elizabeth Greenleaf's first husband was killed in the Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And then she married Judge Pope, who was very wealthy and powerful. And I don't know, they lived in New Bedford or Fairhaven. I know probably Fairhaven. And during the war, the War of 1812, the British were looting everything. And so Judge Pope's first wife was very wealthy and had lovely silver. So they buried it before the British came.
Mm-hmm.
And the British found it. And but Elizabeth Greenleaf, silver, she didn't know what to do with quick, and she was expecting a baby. So she hid it under the baby clothes. So the British soldiers came to the house, and they saw this very pregnant woman sewing baby clothes. And they said, excuse us, madam. So all her silver was saved. And the silver pitcher, that silver pitcher that's yours.
Okay, and what and what's how do you tell it? I mean, what's distinguishing about it?
You've seen it all your life, or when I write it down, very graceful. My mother thought it was a Paul Revere, but I think.
Well, I
they
think,
don't
oh, that's the,
think
oh, the one we thought, but
It
then we
wasn't.
turned, it definitely wasn't, it was from
wasn't
Philadelphia
Paul
or
Revere,
something.
But it was the same idea, and it's got the initials EP. And my father had, somebody told him he should have the date, so he had the name, initials, I forget the date he had on it, and the initials, the date was wrong, he said he never should have the date put on it. But he did. But that's with my silver service.
Yeah.
And the silver service there is about $3,000.
Yeah, okay, well, I remember when
Very
you,
heavy sterling.
yeah, I remember the mistake we
bought
made,
it,
we
you
should have
had
gotten
something
the
like that.
tray, yeah, well, it was $300 or something,
They advised against the sterling silver tray.
yeah, it turned out it would have been a smart thing to do.
Well, how are we to know? You were the one that pushed me getting the set. You
Yeah.
said you've always wanted a silver set, and we'll go down and get
Yeah, well, when the jeweler was going out of business,
it.
so
Yeah,
he got it.
Fred Cunningham. We paid $300 and some for the set, didn't we?
Yeah, something like that. It was around $300.
Well, that seemed like a lot of money then.
Yeah.
But look at it now, it's very, very heavy sterling. It's heavier than the average one.
Is there anything else in the cedar closet besides the silver?
Yeah. I don't dare look at it.
Yeah, probably should go through and just clean all the closets out one of these days of old clothes and whatnot.
Well, the thing of it is, my room is very bad because the only place I've got in the house is that closet in there.
Yeah.
So I put everything in the closet.
Yeah, I guess that's the one deficiency of this house is that there's not enough closets.
Well, but look at those big closets upstairs. One of those closets with a magazine closet, if it had a window, could have been a nursery. It's so big, practically.
Well,
Or it couldn't really.
the ceiling
but I mean,
came
the
down.
size. They're damn big closets.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that's where all this, but you know, the day-to-day storage stuff, the closets
Yeah,
are kind of
I
small
know.
by today's standards.
But we did, then when we came here, there used to be a swinging door in the kitchen,
Yeah, I remember the swinging door.
and then it broke, and then Fred had me write the hinges, paid a fortune, and we never got it fixed. Actually, it's better without the door, just swing through.
Yeah, the swinging doors are fashionable nowadays. The only trouble is that they could swing when one person going through, they could swing and bump somebody else with a bunch of dishes.
Yeah. The main thing was that when you were in the living room, you weren't supposed to see the kitchen.
Yeah.
But actually, this makes, for one room, it's been very nice for entertaining.
Yeah, well, maybe the thing to do is just to take out this wall here, and make it one big room.
No. I'd hate it. And besides, the beams of the house go across.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want one big room. I like it. This room is a very comfortable size for an ordinary family.
Okay, the souvenir. Back to you start over on the souvenir.
1890, what?
The souvenir plates were from when?
They were the first set, I think, around 1890. The date may be on it. But Klasky was emphatic, and Klasky was very fond of me. He came to the house when I was a little girl, and he loved my mother, because he was a young Jew, and he was snubbed. And my mother was nice to him. And he copied things. And she was very nice to him, and there was nothing he wouldn't do for me. And I don't know why. And he shipped. He had painted the thumbprint windows. I had those in Brooklyn.
How about the dishes that fell in Brooklyn?
Oh, one of them,
I think you had one left. The spare dish is the only one that survived, or something.
yeah, and then I felt terribly, because, you know the Parker House in Boston?
Yeah.
Well, the Parker Libby's, Bill Libby, mother was a Parker, and they gave me a lovely dish, crystal and silver, a bowl for a wedding present. And that broke when we were moving. I fell from a chair and broke everything.
Down Atlantic Road. That was only for a short time.
I
You had to catch the mice, I remember.
Unfortunately, there was a lovely service, white with gold rim that belonged to a Quintard, I think, and that went to Peter. He got everything. But Elizabeth was upset because she said that everything in Lilac Road should have belonged to her. So it's just as well.
What was the reason that it should belong to her?
She said that Fred's mother promised everything to her. But
Was it Fred's mother mentally unbalanced?
at the end, yeah. She could be brilliant. She was. See, well, Fred failed for. People didn't realize that Fred had. In '77, he had some pretty ragged times.
Well, no, it was
He'd
pretty
been failing
obvious
for
then.
some years.
No, by '77
In '77,
yeah.
and but we went to Plymouth, and I drove.
Yeah.
But he was good that trip.
Well,
But
Uncle Richard still drove long after I thought it was possible.
And the brakes went, and he said he'd get home before they went. The last time that Uncle Richard and Aunt Judy were here, I had a funny feeling when they went I'd never see them again. I never did see Judy again. But she used to worry and worry what would happen to her, because she was sure Uncle Richard would predecease her. And she said, what would she do?
Yeah, because she never drove.
No. She didn't know how to write a check when Uncle Richard was sick. Remember when they lived here?
No, I didn't know.
You remember. When you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
And Uncle Richard had the operation. He was up at Stanford Hospital.
Well, I remember he had an operation later for hiatal hernia, but that was a long time after that.
No, this was for gallstones.
Oh, gee. Okay, I don't remember
And he was
that.
up there. Well, you were 7.
Okay.
Remember when I took you kids to the exposition and I piled you all into the old Buick? Johnny, Tommy, you, Richard, Bernie, and David, and Judy Ann.
Okay.
And we went through the tent, and I said we didn't have any money, and Tommy would go ahead, and he'd yell, they'd hear the whole length of the tent. Come down here, Nan, this is for free.
Well, that was the one where they got potato chips and things like that at. That was down
and
in
Tommy
Woodside
would-
Park.
Everybody would know that I could go because it was for free. Oh, the Tommy had a voice that bellowed, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, and I had forgotten that. I remember Uncle Bob, the earliest I can remember, he was in military uniform. He was still
Yeah,
in the.
that was when
When we first moved here, he was still in the
Yeah.
Army, and
right, he was just getting out.
because I can remember at Christmas time or something, he was in an officer's
I
uniform.
don't remember him being in the uniform then, but he could have been.
No, I
He
do.
was in his uniform when he went to Brooklyn.
Okay, and I remember, well, in Brooklyn, there was somebody else also in uniform, I remember, visiting us.
2 people. Wayne came, he was in the Navy, and he came, and George came, and he was in the Navy.
Okay. Well, they were in officers' uniforms, though, weren't they?
Right.
And, because I remember in Brooklyn, I remember us having to squish the tin cans. We had to save tin cans. We had to squish them down flat.
Oh yeah, we did it when we came here, we switched them flat.
Yeah, I remember squishing them here, too, and I can remember,
We took the top off and the bottom and switched them flat.
yeah. And they probably never went anywheres, but in the city sold, they had a big old cannon downtown, which they junked, and it never got used, but
Yeah.
they lost
We got a
it.
good memory. You remember Pop at Tiziano's?
Yes.
You
I remember getting a plum or
He
something.
always, and you put a pencil
The
back
pencil
your
in the ear,
and
yeah.
say, now I'm Pop.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. And then there was the boy that I played with the red hair or something.
Ty
Ty.
Cullen. And his mother never could leave, she had too much housework to do, and I'd take you and Ty up and we watched the subway at Quarterview Road.
Yeah. And I remember Nirna.
And then, remember then when we first moved here, there was a red-headed boy, and you called him Ty because he had red hair.
Oh, okay. I don't.
They moved shortly after we moved here.
Okay, I don't remember that.
No. Well, you were 3 when we moved here, and I was trying to take care of the movers and a baby, and no place to sit, and you pranced up Hubbard Avenue, and you had a sailor suit from Best, a blue dark sailor suit that Aunt Sally had given you, and you wore white socks and high lace boots, white boots.
Okay, I don't remember them being high-laced boots.
Well,
I
they
do
weren't
remember
high,
going
but they
around.
were high boots. I mean, they weren't little slippers. And they knew you were just, the kids brought them back. They said, you look so different. You were dressed so differently from what they were.
Hmm.
You were dressed
I remember when we came out to Stanford to look, at Grand Central Station, somebody stole my box of cookies.
You had a lunchbox, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little, well, it was like a little cardboard suitcase type thing full of
Mhm.
cookies, and we
Well, anyway,
left it
I
in
thought it was left in the train or something.
No. I left it in the waiting area when I had to go to the bathroom, and I came back and somebody had taken them.
Yeah, oh, you felt terribly.
So,
You and I went to Janet Sacker's and had lunch and walked to the station.
okay, I don't remember. Oh, that's in Stanford, right?
Yeah, when you and I came out to look at the house here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mrs. Horan took care of Richard.
Okay, yeah, I remember vaguely Mrs. Horan.
Yeah.
And I remember playing on the fire escape in Brooklyn.
They woke me up pounding on the door. I was taking a nap. And I had thought you were in taking a nap. And you had a whole crowd down in the street. Climbed out in the forest. That you were just barely 3.
Yeah, I can remember I couldn't reach the railing on it. That was the problem.
Oh,
Because I was going to...
Then we put a gate up. I nailed it too, so you couldn't get out the window. Well, that was an awful experience. When you were 3 years old, you made your own birthday cake.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you stirred it. I'm not measuring.
Yeah.
But, oh, you were very proud of that cake.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember switching the faucets.
Oh.
And then I remember in Stanford when we got here, the monkey in the hedge. Remember the monkey?
Oh, yeah, there was the owl. Oh, and do you remember the little toilet seats you used to have to sit on to go to the bathroom?
Yeah,
like
it sat on top of the. It sat on top of the toilet.
Yeah, and you used to take your teddy and strap him in.
Oh, okay.
And you stuck things down the John to.
I remember a can of Baraxo that did a job on the toilet.
Oh boy! Oh, and then the janitor had to come up because you plugged up the John.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, we had a merry old time.
Sir.
Donna.
Donna. Oh, the boxer's name was Donna, and it belonged to Bobby.
Yeah. Well, actually, it belonged to her. She was living with a doctor, and.
I didn't know they did that in those days.
She divorced her husband, and then she was living with his doctor, who was very nice. And he had a place up in the country, and I took Donna one weekend. And I walked up with Richard in the pram, and you were 3, and the boxer. We got a lot of attention.
Yeah, okay.
Donna healed beautifully. Boy, she minded. And then when the Londons downstairs went away, I took care of their, Wimpy was a Cocker Spaniel, I think. Black dog. You remember that?
Now that you mention it, Cocker Spaniel comes to mind, but I didn't remember the name or
Yeah,
anything. But now I do remember a black Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah, I got a picture of you with him.
Yeah, there was the picture of the dog where Fred enlarged tremendously. I remember.
That was it.
Oh, that was the one. Okay, and then I remember the time I watched you and Fred enlarge some pictures.
I think we did something here, and you knew just what to do. And we said, "How'd you know?" And you said, "I used to stand at the door and watch."
Yeah.
One time I went up the roof to get the wash off the line, and I thought you were in your crib, and you had got out and met me at the elevator door.
Oh.
Boy. But one thing you don't remember is when you were kidnapped.
Oh yeah, yeah, I was a real infant then.
That was awful.
Yeah, well, yeah, we got me right back.
The ground could have opened up and swallowed me. Because my mother used to say, watch, that child is so beautiful, somebody will kidnap him.
Yeah, they would have been stuck with me now, though.
Yeah, I got you back. I went racing up Flatbush Avenue, and
Okay.
a little girl had taken you home.
Okay, and I remember when I thought that Santa Claus came on the Flatbush Avenue.
Yeah, oh boy. And we never could figure out how you knew that, you had a snuggle ducky and Richard had a snuggle ducky. The Boy Scouts called them sleeping bags. We never knew how you knew what Boy Scouts were.
Well, obviously I had
Heard.
seen or heard someplace. I had,
I don't know.
and I remember the business about saying that the fee doesn't oscillate.
Yeah, we're reminiscing. Yeah.
All I remember is the story you told me about Frederick changing the hot and cold water faucets
He
on
was just reminiscing about that. He's taking pictures of everything, so to have
I think he's hoping Michael will try the same trick.
Michael is a little
Oh,
bit
my.
too old. Frederick did it when he was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frederick had a challenge. Wet paint was a challenge for Frederick.
Oh, it is for anybody.
He always drew little arrows. And that one time, oh, I know, you locked all the doors. And I told Fred, and Fred said, well, he locked the closet door, I couldn't get into anything. Fred said, well, you're the same lockage on your key ring. And I didn't know that.
You know, and Michael always tells everybody about how I put that ammonium iodide explosive on all the doorknobs. And then
Well, I don't remember that.
remember when I did that? And you got, and Fred made me go around and explode the ball.
I don't remember that at all.
That's a traditional thing. That Frederick got out of one of Fred's books of magic.
I remember when.
Remember?
Yeah, I was in, must have been in junior high school at the time.
Remember when you and Granny used to make Roman candles? We were watching. You can't take it with you.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the Roman candles I remember Frederick and Bernie making. It was their attempt at making sour mash liquor,
Oh,
yeah.
which I think did not turn out all that
Oh
well.
well, no, it
You were
worked.
alcohol. It was
We were distilling it, 140 proof or so.
Yeah.
That was potent stuff that we made.
Yeah. Oh.
I also tried to make it by freezing, but I never got it very strong that way. You're supposed to be able to, you freeze it out, squeeze out the ice, separate it from the ice crystals, and you
Well,
increase the
traditionally,
strength.
that's what you do with Applejack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but I remember when people used to give us televisions, they didn't know what to do with them. Frederick would fix them. We had one in the kitchen and one in the dining room and one here.
Yes, but remember the way Frederick fixed it was he would switch
Frederick
the
would take a
tubes.
tube out of one and put in the other. So they were all fixed. It was like Richard fixing his car.
Yeah, well,
As long as you didn't try turning them all out at once, in which case you discovered the scam.
Yeah, but you couldn't do it. They looked good.
it's like switching light bulbs.
Oh. First time I ever went in the New York subway was when I was 17, and Fred's mother decided we'd go to Coney Island. I didn't know where we were, anything about it. We hit it at the rush hour and try to keep 4 people together in the rush hour, and they didn't know where we were headed for. I was never so scared in my life as trying to get through that subway doing it, try to keep up with it.
Okay, how come you happen to be with them?
Because I went to college with Fred's sister.
Yeah, but you were only 17?
She was 5 years older than I was.
Oh, I thought you were in the same class.
She was a class ahead of me, and she was older because she had trouble with her feet, and she had been more or less invalided. So she was older than the average.
Oh, you never knew that. I knew that she had trouble with her feet and that Uncle Richard had trouble with his feet.
Yeah, she always, at one time they thought what trouble was polio, and then they were trying a new polio vaccine, and she had to give blood so that they could test to see. But then it turned out it was the Gillespie feet. It was hereditary, genetic.
Yeah.
And Judy Ann inherited it. And Teddy inherited the epilepsy.
I thought his epilepsy was due to trauma.
That's what they said, but
Because that's why they
Fred-
tried the operation.
don't recall. And the landlady was gonna have a bridge club in, and she made a great big chocolate cake. And Uncle Richard came in and he thought, well, he'd take one little snick. He kept taking little sticks of that chocolate cake when his landlady came home.
This was when in Providence, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was when he was a reporter up in Providence.
Yeah. How about some of the other stories? Or how about the one with was it Adolf Hexamer and the salad?
Oh, I know.
What he spilled it on the sidewalk and
The sidewalk and scooped it up. His mother always wondered why the church never asked her for chicken salad again, or potato salad again. Then Uncle Bob, they used to go to Davenport and get food, and they spilled it and they scooped it up, and Uncle Bob took it home.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. I remember Fred and the exploding test tube, though.
I forgot now.
Remember when he mixed up potassium chlorate and red phosphorus and left it in a test tube, and the sun hit it and it exploded? We had put it behind some books or something, and
Vaguely,
he
I
came
don't remember.
home and found that everybody in the neighborhood was in an uproar, and it seems he'd blown the test tube glass into the bindings of the book.
Oh, I remember a time when we were running the gas shaper in the garage, and somebody complained about it. I think it was M. Troy, but I don't know. And a man came to the door, and he was asking about having a business here. And I said, what? And I said, oh, Fred had an invention. And he said, oh, one of Fred's inventions. Forget him. It's okay.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. How about other things like when Fred went to Key West?
I remember that.
You don't remember?
And that was the summer that David was sick.
He was very sick. Yeah, I remember that.
106 degrees if he moved around too much, and Richard had poison ivy
I
all
remember
over his body.
the poison ivy was.
Oh, and he used to go around naked.
Yeah, it was disgusting and gross.
He had and Fred found afterwards it was impetigo too, besides poison ivy. He got so infected. He
Oh,
slept in a rubber sheet, and I
yeah,
had to keep bathing. I didn't get any sleep at all at night.
yeah.
Between David had to have sulfur, and Richard had to be bathed.
Oh, I remember the time you put the iodine in your eye by mistake.
Well, you got a good memory. Yeah.
Remember
And
screamed a
suddenly
lot.
eyes were, oh boy, I was scared.
Of course, and then I remember the time I squeezed the pepper in the meat grinder and it squirted me in the eye. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
That's something you don't forget when it happens to you.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know
Quite-
how you remember the iodine in my eye.
Oh,
You remember the time that just before David was born, I had Rosie who was to come down, somebody was to come down to babysit,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go down and Ivor was to take me. We kept waiting and waiting, and it was time for the appointment, and David was going to be born the next week or something. That was very important. And so finally I left you, and you took care of Richard, and you were not quite 5, or just about 5, and Richard was 3, and you took care of Richard, and I went to the doctors. And when I came back, I think Rosie had found out that Miriam hadn't come. And I think Rosie was here as she came.
Oh, I remember the time Miriam gave me the whole bowl of maraschino cherries.
The whole
Boy, that was a real feast. That was a feast.
Oh, boy. Well, we had Rosie, we asked how old she was, and she said she was going on 15.
She was 12, I think, wasn't she?
She was going on 13.
Oh, okay, well.
But she did a better job then than when she was older. Because one time my aunt was sick, and I left Rosie, and she had other friends in, and they had a wonderful party here.
Gee, I don't remember any big. I remember a few friends stopping by. I don't remember any big parties.
I remember one time she made David mad or didn't watch him, and David took a hunk out of a Hitchcock chair.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home, she made you mad, and when I came back, the whole wall was tree. Remember that?
No, I don't.
That awful wallpaper.
No, the only thing I remember doing was I did I did take a pair of scissors to the puff to see what was inside.
Oh yes, I was waiting for Ray. Yeah, that was just before David was born, and you cut little slits in the down puff.
Yeah, they wasn't appreciated, was it? Oh, I remember the blizzard of '47.
Yes. That was just before David's first birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and Uncle Bob came because he said to telephone to Fred not to come home. That was the time Aunt Elizabeth kept calling every 15 minutes for Bob to come home, and he said, "I'm not coming home. I'm staying right here." And I don't know what she says. And she said, "Is Fred there yet? Is Fred there yet?" To chaperone Bob. Boy, I wish you were mad at Bob.
I remember. The last time I remember was your time David and I got stuck here, and Bob back in the '60s. There was a
Fred and I
snowstorm.
were in Plymouth.
Yeah, you were away, and there was a snowstorm, and Bob made it from the hospital, and I wasn't able to make it home. I remember.
You had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Bob was really human.
Yeah.
I'll never forget though when Robert was born, and and said, "Well, there's another Robert Cunningham." So Elizabeth went down to see the new baby, and she came back and said, "Well, we saw the baby," and I took the kids a coloring book.
Oh.
No present for the baby, one coloring book.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
Father came down when we first bought this house, and he said that he liked it. It was well planned and roomy. He was quite proud of it. And Fred went up to Boston on business, and then he went to Plymouth to get the car,
Yeah.
the Buick. And my father came down with him. And Fred said he made sure that he drove from this end of Hubbard Avenue up. So the houses would impress my father.
Oh.
My father gave me $100 to go buy a bed. The bed that was up in the guest room.
Yeah.
At a funeral, they were saying the Lord's Prayer, and he had a booming voice. And he went at a different tempo from the minister, and he got the whole congregation all off, and nobody knew what they were saying. Finally, the minister interrupted the service and said, "I think we'd better start over again."
Oh.
Oh, that was a famous, oh, how we used to laugh at that story. He was a character. We went to a picnic one time over to West Point, and he ate 12 hard-boiled eggs.
12?
He was fat. Remember the pictures of Irvin S. Cobb?
No.
Oh, the old ones. Well, anyway, he looked like that at one time.
Well, I don't. All I remember was that he had a mustache.
Not what I remember him.
You know, it was sort of a grayish, off-color gray because he smoked or something.
I don't remember his mustache. I don't think he had one.
What, your father?
No,
Oh.
no, my father. This was Fred's father.
Oh, Fred's father. Oh, I'm sorry. I got this.
No, it was Fred's father.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
Fred's father was a character.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yes, he was fat. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh, he was a character.
Yeah.
Everyone kowtowed to him.
Yeah. I remember he even had his haircuts done. Yeah, always had his hair cut in his office. He had a barber come to cut his
He
hair.
didn't like to go to a barber shop. And he had Sam drive him everywhere.
Oh, another. Didn't they have horses or something? Or they rented it? What was it when Fred was little?
They used to rent a horse. Shoe people in the
Yeah.
Cotton Johnson. Well, they had a place, the Johnsons had a place up at Long Pond when I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the year, I was about 8, I think, or just before my father bought a car at that time. Right after that, we rented a horse to go up to the place. And they had a collie dog, and they couldn't take it back, and they wanted to give it to me. And my family wouldn't take it.
Oh, you had cats, didn't you?
Yeah, well, another dog. And because the Johnsons, Johnson's married Sophie Baumgartner, and she used to be a waitress. I was very small and undersized, very immature.
Yeah, and how old were you?
When I went to college,
Yeah.
well, I told you, I was just before my 17th birthday. I met Fred when I think I was 16 when I met Fred.
Yeah, okay, wait,
We
because,
went to dinner at Washington Memorial.
oh, yeah, I know it well.
Yeah, I thought you'd be
That was the
interested.
first place you had dinner with him?
Yeah,
Well, that would be the first place I had dinner with Sandra.
isn't that funny? Huh? Small world.
Yeah.
And we met the guy from who was way up in the Army. He had gone to MIT for some course, and Fred had tutored him. So we called on him. Now, about 40 years later, Fred met him in Washington at something. And he said, "Whatever happened to the girl that was with you?" And Fred said, "I married her." Because in an apartment, you couldn't go out. I could take you out in the street for so long. But I used to play with you. You remember, you used to have the pegboard and you had juice. You knew every color, but orange, you refused to say orange. You said, "That's juice."
Yeah. I remember the pegboard and I remember saying juice.
And the Toll House cookbook with all the purple crayons on it. I still have.
Yeah, I don't know how they got there, right?
I know. And you used to call vitamin things Kiki. For some unknown reason, they were Kiki. Do you remember those?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
I remember the
always-
ones that came in that little, the little blue cellophane things.
Yes. And you call them Kiki.
Yeah. I think Kiki was supposed to be for candy or something.
I know. You remember the time you threw a toy out of the stroller? And people looked at me and yelled for me to pick it up, and I said, "It's irretrievable." And we walked on.
Oh,
And you
I
never
don't.
threw another one out? Never did you throw
Hmm.
anything out of that stroller again. I wonder how I used to wheel you into the